what's up? What's up? Good evening, everybody.
Good.
Welcome to the stream, Brooklyn Aquarium Society. We're all in the house with James Perrenod, the Discus aficionado.
What's up, guys?
On the bottom left, we got Joe Graffinito, former president and fish breeder, mini award winner, like the Oscars here. Brooklyn Aquarium Society.
Hey, hip hip hooray!
I see quite a few people are logged on. We got to be sorry we're late. As it is with anything technical, we're old and we have a learning curve. Period.
Speak for yourself, there, D.
Hey, look. At least I haven't fallen and can't get up. I had to wait for my assistant to do her hair. You know, she takes a while to get into costume. Yeah. So tonight we want to welcome everybody to the live stream, Brooklyn Aquarium Society. As you know, due to the current state of things, we've had to bypass our regular meetings and auctions in lieu of, epidemic. I don't want to get into it because we've heard it too much. And James has been gracious enough to bless us with his many years of expertise. James is owner curator of Discus R Us. I've known him for a few years now. He's spoken at our club. And he's sit on the board of the NEC. He has 30 years experience in the hobby, and we want to welcome to the stream. So welcome, James. Perrenod.
Hey, guys. Basically, today, I guess we're going to touch base on some advanced disc keeping and pretty much anything D's got to ask me, we're going to get down with today. As some of you know, Jersey, I was past president 3 years of the Jersey Aquarium Society at the NEC, board of directors, North American Discus Association. I've been carrying discus moons as I can remember. I've been a hobbyist. It's 33 years, D. 33.
33? You're getting old, buddy.
Yeah, I'm getting old. Touching base on my shop. My shop is in a transition right now. We're moving our fish house to another location, which is approximately a block away. We've been in transition for a little while due to some, family issues. We had to move our facility. That should be up and running. Dee's going to come down there and help me get that thing rocking. Joe's more than welcome to come down, as long, we'll get things going over there again.
Hey, I'll say one thing. I have looked at discus for a lot of years. We've traveled the club. We've gone to Baltimore. We've gone all over the place and seen discus. This guy has very impressive fish. And I was impressed with the quality of what he kept. Not only the quality, but the variety and different species that you had and how you had them.
Yeah. Well, like we touched base a couple days ago, you did, about how no one believes you could use tap water. Well, I've been using it for I can't.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah. Well, you saw it happening when you came down, right?
People, I saw it with my own eyes from the tap to the tank. A little bit of stress coat is just the fish were amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we're still up in par and changing the water. We still have a lot of this. Speaking of which, next weekend I have a big sale. We're going to do 40% off of all our livestock in order for us to move the shop. We are starting to build. So for you guys, we'll offer anybody from Brooklyn 40% off any fish in our shop.
So you heard that. You got to shout it out. Brooklyn Aquarium Society. If you guys don't know the deal, act like you know. Brooklyn Aquarium Society. We are right now, and I'm going to interject while James mentioned that. Right now, I've been reaching out to all our sponsors, not asking for donations, which we usually do, but in light of everybody trying to make it these days, I'm asking all of our sponsors there to come on the Facebook page, come on the live streams, shoot me a message. D from Brooklyn, you have me on Facebook. I want all of you guys to share that your stores are open. A lot of the stores have changed their hours. So a lot of our members don't know when stores are open, or maybe there's limited capacity. I want to bring two and two together and make sure that we're supporting each other, because without the local people, there is no hobby. It started with the local people, and that's what we're all about.
I know, since we're so close to one another, also, we're only about an hour from one another, an hour and 15 minutes. I'd also like to offer you guys 15% off as long as you mention for the Brooklyn Aquarium Society for the lifetime of my shop.
Woo, I'm driving down.
That's
Carpool, baby. Who's in for the carpool?
So, yeah. And then I should be up in the city next week, D. Maybe we'll meet up and I'll give you guys $100 gift card that you can raffle off for, like, holiday time as well.
Yeah, that's cool, man. We greatly appreciate it. There's a lot of people that always want to get into discus, but there's a certain fear, like that's the holy grail of freshwater fish. I know I was one of those people, and you were gracious enough to take me in New York Gold. My friend Don, we went and looked at how simple he had those tanks set up, and it was just a matter of a little husbandry and cleaning and maintenance. And you guys out there, you can keep these fish. It's very possible.
Sure, absolutely. A lot of times we overthink things, and simplicity is, is where it's at with these fish. Um, Proper water changes, a good diet. That's generally it with these.
Hmm. So, Joe, do we have anything before we get into general back and forth discussion? Do we have anything in regards to the club that I'm missing? Because I'm a little
yeah.
senile.
I think the big thing is going to be next month for the December meeting. We're not going to have a holiday party due to the pandemic problem, but we will be having a Vimeo presentation of Seth Kolka, who recently passed away. He was our club president for over 13 years, from basically 1989 to about 2011, 2009 rather. We're going to have his only presentation to the club was setting up a fish tank, and we're going to have that on Friday evening, December 11th at 7:30 p.m. Come on in and see Seth at his finest. You're
Yeah,
gonna enjoy it.
Seth was a really good guy. For those of you that have come, you've probably spoken to Seth. Seth was like a wealth of knowledge. I know he taught me a lot about plants and general setting up of tanks and breeding many species. He's definitely gonna miss, and we're gonna miss him. And by missing him, I mean we're gonna honor him by streaming his presentation. And I hope you guys come back to look at it. There was a moment of silence for Seth. But yeah, if we can throw some icing on the cake, those of you that are watching right now, I want you to hang into the end because I'm gonna give away some stuff. Don't tell Steve, don't tell the president. I robbed the bank. I got the getaway car. I'm gonna give away some stuff at the end of the show, so stay tuned. If you want to take part, just put in the comments. I'm trying to multitask. Put in the comments, I want to win. And then I'll add your name to our little rotating randomizer here and pick out a few winners. We got a few things here. Shh, don't tell Steve. Shh. So now, with that being said, I'm going to ask the first and most important question here. Jimmy Jam, I want to set up a discus tank.
Okay.
How do I start? What is my starting point? Everybody knows the tank. Like, what's the minimum? What should we do? What should we use as a starting point?
Well, 10 gallons per fish, generally. 10 gallons per fish. You figure, and the more husbandry we do and the more care we do, we can add a little bit more. For instance, if you have let's just say we have a 75 gallon, I recommend no more than 8 fish with good husband. if we could add more, but we're gonna have to do more water changes. That's generally what. So the bigger, obviously, the better. But that's for any fish. Yes, hey, the bigger the better.
Mhm.
I like bare bottom. Some people don't like it. Stands a little clean. A lot of times bacteria stand, which causes explosion over time unless you're loosening up the sand on a continuous basis. I'm big into sponge filters. Constantly change your sponge. For instance, 75, I put 2 to 3 sponges in there, and on a weekly basis, change out one of the sponges. Keep biological filtration going in there. And I highly recommend no less than 3 water changes a week at approximately 50%.
No more than 3 water changes a week.
No, I mean
No less.
no less. I apologize. No less than 3. 82 degrees is the ideal temperature. The warmer the tank, obviously, the more they're going to eat, the faster they're going to grow. It also shortens the lifespan. So I recommend 82. 82 is the ideal temperature.
Now, have you had a hard time? Because I know a lot of the heaters are programmed to that 78. I haven't seen too many. Typically everybody shoots for like 78, or do you end up using like 2 heaters like to maintain that temperature?
Well, I mean, cheaper isn't better. So I mean, there's a lot, Eheim, Jaeger heaters are what I use in my shop.
Hmm.
Highly recommend them. Sometimes it's not in people's budget, but if you want to play the game right, you got yes, 2 heaters just in case one backs up. You have one that's as a backup for the second one. So I highly recommend 2 heaters for anybody's tank, whether it be discus or anything.
What about well, then when you get into the bigger tanks, I know a lot of guys have been going with we're moving a lot of the saltwater equipment has been migrating into the freshwater hobby, especially with the titanium heaters and the controllers and temperature alerts and things like that. Have you
Sure.
had to use any of that like high-tech stuff in order to keep these fish?
No, I haven't to that. I mean, my fish room it stays around 80 degrees, between 78 and 80. So we're not really pushing heat. We're also backing it up with a heater inside. In the summer, we have a little bit of trouble because when the temperatures get up to 100, we're trying to cool the place down. We want to make it comfortable for everyone to come in. So that's when we have a little bit of a time with the heaters coming. The air conditioners and the dehumidifiers are pretty much pulling all the heat out of the air. So that's when we run into some problems with some of the heaters. Otherwise, we'd have to run a chiller, right? So we don't want to too expensive. So I mean, the salt, reef and freshwater are very similar. We just look at and talk about them differently, in my opinion.
I've been trying to bring a lot of that together too, because I find it so amazing that on the saltwater side, since I do both, there's so much technology gone into keeping simpler fish and coral. I mean, you can go into the instance of coral can be difficult, but like when you get Native American species like flagfish that want it cooler, or you have like low pH like killifish or certain fish that we don't put all that technology into those things. But then when I see your shop so simply kept and keeping all of these different fish, I was like, it made me rethink the whole approach.
Sure. Well, simplicity is where it's at. The more we do, the more we mess with things. Right? When things are right, leave them alone. The more we mess with things, for instance, if we're trying to get pH to a certain level, right?
Hmm.
You're never going to put the proper amount of additives or in the tank. So every time you put it in, the pH is going to be off.
No, true that.
And so, what was I going to say? So simplicity is where it's at, and fish like things to stay the same. constant, stay the same. When we start to adjust things, when fish get out of control because they can't take adjustments. As you know, even us when we go to a different area and the altitude's different, our bodies react differently as well. Sometimes we get sick. We go into a different area of the world. Exactly the same thing for them.
Now, Joe, I know you keep Discus in there. What temperature? You heat your whole room though, don't you? Or do you heat that tank?
Yeah, I heat the whole room. My in the summer it gets up to about maybe 84, 85. Then I can put the air conditioner on in the other room and have a fan blowing in to cool it off, and it'll drop it down to about 80. In the winter, it stays between 78 and 81. I do have a dehumidifier in the room. My humidity level is anywhere between 30 and 50%, depending on if it's raining outside or however that works, and how many tanks don't have covers on them because I'm doing a multitude of water changes. So sometimes that adds to that as well. Yeah, but so far that's basically what I've been doing. Yeah.
With that dehumidifier, do you pull out a lot of moisture from the room?
Yes. Yes. Sometimes it's so much that it starts overflowing into the bucket of it, and I have to replace the bucket of water that builds up in that. So I have a hose that is continuously working, but in addition to that, sometimes it's just so much that it just gets absorbed into that little well that it has in it, and then all of a sudden everything just shuts off, and you got to empty the water. So
what I highly recommend to knock the humidity down in the rooms is, I don't remember if you remember, I use perforated plastic. You know the sign
yes.
for the signs. I put them over the tank, and I have eliminated the humidity in the room by 90%. 90%.
Wow.
Yeah, mine has went down a lot, but mine's a 9 by 14 room, and I've got about 40 fish tanks in there.
Yeah, you have
creating a lot of
you use
a lot of humidity, but the dehumidifier really keeps a lot of it down.
Sure,
which is good.
But that I perforated plastic is where I think it's at. It beats glass. It's cheaper than glass. It can't break.
Well, yeah, that's the perforated thing. You can cut it. You can cut it with a pair of scissors.
Yep.
To form fit it to the top.
Mm-hmm.
That works extremely well.
The
People
back.
complain that it starts to warp after a while, but all you do is flip it over, and it warps back the way it's supposed to be. So it's not an issue at all.
It's the cheapest stuff on earth too. I mean, it's dirt cheap.
Yes. You can buy it at Lowe's. You can buy it at Home Depot for like I think it's about a few dollars for a 2 foot by maybe a 6 foot or 8 foot size.
Yep.
And you cut it down to whatever size you need.
Mm-hmm. That's
funny because I think he did use something similar to what I saw at your shop, James. But does that cloud up? Because I'm worried about having lights over that. And when the evaporation hits that plastic, doesn't it kind of cloud like glass? Do you lose?
No.
For people that have like plants,
if
you have plants down there.
If you want lights over your tanks, that's fine. But they also make a clear one too, which I think is a little bit more expensive. So right. I don't use that in my shop. I don't use lights on my tanks in my shop except for my planted tanks. And the reason I do that is we're not trying to change the real colors of the fish. We're not trying to. The only time I use lights is when we're taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the only time I'll use light. But the overhead lights on my shop are pretty bright. So we don't put them over the tanks.
And so you also mentioned changing the colors of the fish. Now, do you think the lights actually change the color? I always thought that
100
darker tank brought out more colors than having a brightly lit tank.
Well, a lot of times when we're using an LED, there's so many different colors bouncing off the LED lights. Of course, it's going to change the true color of the fish. That's what lights do today. It's colors.
Do you notice a big difference between the LED lights and fluorescent lights? on the fish for fish coloration?
Technology is everything. So of course they're going to be much better. They're going to represent things better. Of course, and the way the lights are today, some of the lights are just like wow. I mean, how yeah, definitely. LED over bulb all day, every day.
I'm still on the fence. I changed a lot of I changed a lot of tanks. I recently changed the Super Cube here, which is so bright that every light in my basement is actually off right now. And that thing is lighting all of it. Like that LED is on a high fixture. I mean a high setting. But I'm wondering, Joe, because you mentioned it, some subspecies actually don't like the light. Like Discus are kind of shy. I have some
Well,
scarlet bass and some fish like that that I was wondering if too much light. How do you know you have too much light?
well, in all reality, let's go back a step real quick and then we'll get into that. So LED lights also save money. I mean, electricity compared to a halogen bulb or whatever, the case might be, how much money are you going to save over time? A lot of money. Discus, if we're talking about lights on Discus, I mean, Discus come from murky waters. So basically, they don't see much light. They're in murky water. So technically, if we go, to the nature of the fish, they don't like light. But these fish have evolved into the hobby for so long that they're like, as so it's not as bad. But technically, murky water it's not like they sit at the banks, right? In a root base and murky waters.
So now, since you mentioned the murky water, so now we set up our tank. Okay, let's say I got a 55 gallon or a 40 breeder, since that's the really popular thing. I got 2 fish, a 40 breeder. I got 2 sponge filters. I'm trying to breed the fish. Usually we don't start out trying to breed them, but let's say I'm trying to breed the fish. Am I shooting for a lower pH because it has been popular? I guess it's a myth or non-myth that they prefer that lower pH, which leads to everybody running around trying to lower the pH of the tap water, which is very difficult in New York.
Well, I built you guys know, I built the Discus Chills facility. They're no longer breeding fish, and they were breeding fish at all different pHs. We set up systems over there where we were able to test, different pHs to see what worked best. We artificially raised them. I helped them raise them and such. I don't believe that pH has a lot to do with it. Sometimes the higher pHs. A lot of the times what happens is, first off, you need a 20 tall to I wouldn't recommend anything bigger than a 20 tall to breed.
A 20 tall? Oh, good, because I have one of those.
So one sponge filter, 20 tall, heater, that's it. Now with these fish, a lot of times what makes the eggs unfertile is the actual bubbles from the air filter. So the sperm's actually not hitting the eggs. There's so much movement going on into the water that they're not being able to fertilize because there's so much movement going on. So the smaller the tank, the better. A lot of times these breeders in Malaysia and stuff know exactly what they're doing. They're going to shut the systems down when they're ready to breed, because they're right, and that's when fish are going to breed. A lot of times they'll breed when we cool the water down. So if we're dropping the temperatures down 4 to 5 degrees, is what we're gonna. It's like a rainstorm. So that's we gotta catch them at the right time, and a cone, of course. If that made any sense.
That makes sense, Joe. Did you get that?
Yes, it does.
But you bred yours.
Background. There's a background issue. Remember, I think I had asked you one time that the fish were getting that peppery look on their bodies and on their face, and it takes away from the beauty of the fish, the coloration of them. Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned something about, because I had a darker background, that could have been the issue.
Yeah, that is true. Well, genetics is for one. one. If we have bad genetics, the fish is going to pepper. But for two, they kind of camouflage themselves. Remember, they want to darken themselves up in order to protect themselves. That's in the wild. I mean, genetics just are genetics. They continue to come back in all of us and everything. So lighter backgrounds if you're trying to be pretty, but if you're trying to breed, darker backgrounds because you want the fish to feel comfortable.
Good to know. Huh.
Well, you can probably that's a good point because we can always get that what they sell is those rolls of background, so you can actually darken it. Or I actually painted my back of my tank black.
I was helping my buddy up in Dickinson Falls. He's adding on to his fish shop the other day, and he actually said, "I'm big into vinyl, so the vinyl lettering. I vinyl all my tanks,
And then just cut it with a razor.
I just cut it with a razor." Yeah. He says he uses contact paper, and when he wants it off, he just pulls it off. And I saw it, and it works great, and it's cheap.
You don't worry about it getting wet.
No, he doesn't. No. If you're worried about it getting wet, you better check your floor.
Look, if you got a tank and you've never got water on the floor, you don't have a tank.
Exactly. I've ruined a lot of hardwood floors, you know.
Dude, you're not the only one. Don't tell my wife.
I was laying on a couch and I was coming through the floor right on the couch.
Oh, that's another plan, man. That's another plan I was thinking. Like Joe mentioned, we got to set up the auto top off for your system, but in reverse, so that when that condensation and that evaporation builds up, the float goes up and it just empties it into your slop sink. I was going to mention that to you. Then you never have to empty it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You just have
Great idea.
you have the reservoir go into a 10-gallon tank or whatever. Have the float upside down. The float goes up, pumps the water into the slop sink. Done.
Nice.
We were talking about those, Jim, about that, the water storage units.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I can always give advice, but I can't take it. I'm schlepping buckets.
I know.
But to have the reservoir, because you can actually reuse that water, pump it out to the lawn, pump it to the slop sink. If you have the plant grow out, like if you're growing the plants, I use my wastewater this summer for plants. If I tell you I have it's November, I still have 5 buckets of plants outside.
I agree with you. I agree.
Unbelievable. Just reusing that old water that we're pumping down the drain.
Yep. So, any other questions on breeding?
Yeah, but how long is the breeding period from like when they're laying their eggs? Should you? I thought about taking them out, like taking the eggs out. Should you leave them in or treat them for like the methylene blue or something like that for fungus?
No, I mean if they're fertilized, you don't have to. Not every egg's always going to be fertilized. I mean, 72 hours they should, 48 hours they should become almost free swimmers after 72 to a little longer. Sometimes you have bad parents which eat the either eat the eggs or eat the fry. But I mean, if you're breeding discus, you should be paying attention to who's the aggressive parent, who's not. These are things that you're going to watch. Right.
So you leave them in there.
Don't they have that netting that they could put over the cone after they lay the eggs on it?
Well, that's what
you still fan it.
Yeah, well, they still need to fan it exactly. The facility that we built up in Bridgewater, New Jersey, they artificially raised everything. Everything was artificially raised. And when I mean he figured this thing out to the T, he had everything survive. It was amazing.
He got all that kind of hatch rate.
He had it locked down to. But then he retired and decided to move away from the hobby. But he really locked this thing up. He knew exactly what he was doing, how he was doing it. I would say he was one of, if not the best breeder in the United States at the time when it comes to discus. I mean, he really did. He really figured everything out. It was amazing.
Of course, they retire and take all that knowledge with them.
He did. He did.
Well,
You
that's
know?
the beauty of like doing these live streams. It's like a quest to preserve all this information because there's a lot of people in the hobby. Like you mentioned, I talked to a guy online, like in Thailand. They
Mhm.
have no equipment, even no power, and they raise some of the most beautiful fish that we struggle with.
Yeah, because again, we're back to simplicity. You figure in Malaysia, right? It is 95 degrees there every single day. It rains there every single day, right? You figure that they get water straight from outside. It comes right into their facility. I mean, there's barely any cost involved in over there. Over here, you figure for something that costs 25 cents there, it costs us $100 here. That's no joke. You know
Yeah.
that's how big of a difference it is when it comes to the cost of the fish. That's another. I mean, you figure if you want to raise discus on that type of level, where you're pushing a lot out, there's very little profit here in order to raise discus. Otherwise, everyone in the country would be doing it. You know, it's a lot of cost, a lot of work. We have to pay for everything here.
Time.
A lot of time.
A lot of people put a lot of time into it. Between water changes and maintenance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the space. And the space. Once you breed it, now that's another tank.
Here's another thing. I mean, over here, everything's got to look pretty. Over there, they don't care if they have algae on the tanks. You know, everything we do here has got to be pretty. It's got to look beautiful. I got to look like I'm the best. Over there, here's algae on the tanks. You know, they have placodermus in their tanks. I mean, everything that we say you can't do, they're doing. You know, like water, they constant on their water changes, but the tanks aren't the cleanest. You know, and they have no issues over there, and they pump them out like it's going out of style. Over here, we make everything look pretty. We got to change this. We got to change that. We got to change this. Yeah, but unsuccessful attempts because we try to mess with everything too much.
But don't they also have the size difference over there? I mean, they have huge vats. So when they do water changes, they basically just pull the plug, the water goes out.
Mm-hmm.
They take it from the river, whatever, the water goes back in.
Yep.
And they have 200, 300-gallon vats that breeding these fish in. Here,
Correct.
you got a 20-gallon tank or a 40-gallon tank with your, electric bill going through the ceiling.
Exactly. I mean, they pretty much raise. I mean, they're raising those fish in about 100-gallon tanks, is what they're. But you are right. I don't know. I know in Singapore, they do use those vats quite often when it comes to raising the fish. When it comes to breeding, they're running them in about 20-gallon, 30-gallon tanks as well. You know.
What do you suggest here, like with the baby fish? How do you grow them out? What do you suggest if a pair of discus have, let's say, 100 babies? How would you grow those babies out?
Hey, Joe, before you answer that, between the talking, like mute your mic when you're not talking. I want to see if we can eliminate that echo, and then just unmute it when you're gonna ask a question.
Well, what winds up happening is again, we make an egg. If I was to start breeding again, I would make an egg-based product, and I would have them eat off the egg-based product. I won't tell anybody what my egg-based product is.
That's the most important.
Well, what I will say is that after that, then we go into a little bit of brine shrimp, and we automatically, after about 6 days, we start to feed them a little bit of our discus pellet. And then we just grind it up and we feed them like almost in the powder form. Now we got to remember something. Out of those 100 babies, how many A-grade fish are going to be out of those 100 babies? 3 to 10, if that. Sometimes, you know. Then, I mean, you figure not all these fish are gonna go to the top. I mean, over there, you figure out of 100 fish, how many are culled? 60, and then they're pumping out A-grade fish, B-grade fish, C-grade fish. Some go to the shops. You know, you figure these, ones that go to these commercial shops, they're all your B-grade fish.
B-grade fish.
Well, you got to spend money to make money. I mean, these big shops ain't going to spend that money in order to bring those fish in.
And James has some A-grade fish. I was impressed. You know, I've traveled. I'm not kissing his butt or nothing, but
A lot of
I
times,
have traveled. I've gone to a lot of places from Cape Cod to the Bahamas to the UK, and to see such a simply set up system with what I thought were A-grade fish compared to what I bought for probably three times as much and killed them.
yeah.
So yeah.
You figure, we don't call the way we should call fish. I mean, we don't. At least here in the States, what I've seen out of going in and out of, I can't even tell you how many fish rooms I've been in and out of. But we're not calling the fish that we should call. I mean, we should call a lot. That's why we have a lot of deformities in fish, a lot of problems in fish, low life expectancy out of these fish because we're not culling when we should cull. Do you guys disagree?
Well, I guess what I would ask is, when do you start culling the fish, and how do you know the various grades of fish if they're so young and so small?
Well, for one, we're looking at gill plates, chips and eyes, deformities in the body. Pretty much the way we would look at any other fish. But once we see those fish should be culled. If we're putting them out, then we're just then we can't really call ourselves hobbyists because we're not putting out the best specimens we could possibly put out. And then that's what winds up happening. So now we have B-grade fish breeding with B-grade fish. Not saying two B-grade fish cannot produce an A-grade fish, but still that deformity is sooner or later going to come out, whether it be in this generation or 3 generations down the line. So we need to call those fish. Whether you feed them to your Oscar, I don't know what you do with them, but they,
So now, let me see. We had a question up there. We had a question, I believe it was from Mr. Schiff. How do you sex the fish? And at what point do you start culling them? Like early, I would imagine you start culling them early on.
Sure, from 7 days once you start to really see their body forms. I mean, now a lot of times, sometimes you'll have an egg-shaped fish that turns into a beauty queen. We're really in the beginning looking for gill plate deformities, etc. What was the other question on that?
How do you sex them?
By the tubes. So a male's going to have a point, and a female's going to have flat. I've been doing it for so long. 90% of the time I can tell what sex of the fish is. 90% of the time. Am I sometimes wrong? Of course. But I could pretty much nail it within the first 5 minutes of, first three minutes of looking at the fish.
So now, okay, Neil Gold asks, is it true that once the female breeds, she stops growing?
No.
And New York Gold, Mr. D, you were at the facility with me, so you saw some of those fish were humongous.
No.
And I was kind of scared to breed. That's another problem that we run into breeding fish. It's either they get into damaging each other, or the stunting of growth between the
stunting of growth has to do a lot with not feeding the fish properly, not the proper not the proper husbandry. It takes work to do these fish right.
Let me see. I'm going through all these questions here. You guys got some good questions. I'm hyper, so I naturally miss stuff. It's just me by nature. So they say, how do they lay their eggs? Like angelfish, which I believe they do the same thing as angelfish with the
very similar. And they yep, exactly like angelfish.
And they fan them. They pretty much fan them the same way as angelfish.
Correct.
So Joe, you use the cage. If you cage them with the cone cage, I forgot. I think somebody used to make them out of a PVC, like a type of thing. Then how do you keep that fungus from growing on the eggs? Because you have to keep circulation around the eggs, or they kind of develop that fungus type on them.
Well, the fish can still fan them behind the cage, right, Joe?
Yes, but it's more difficult for the fish to pick off the fungus eggs. So how would you do it? Usually you would use a pipette or something like that to separate, because if you leave it on there, the surroundings eggs would get some of the fungus on it, and they would start fungusing. So that's a problem. Pipettes, turkey baster, whatever you got to use to siphon off bad eggs, and have them poured down the drain or something,
One thing I did like, but I didn't get to use it in that particular. I did use it on some other fish eggs. Is Julian Sprung makes a long. I have it upstairs. I don't have it with me. He uses a very long coral feeder. It has an extension on it. It reaches about 2 feet, and it's kind of like a turkey baster, but you never get your hands in the tank. I got to get the name of it. I know it's made by Two Little Fishies. If I could find a picture of it, I'll post it up here while we're on. But that was really cool because I also use it to clean off coral, like coral in there spawning. Like if you get a little bit of cyanobacteria or anything growing around a coral, or like my fish lay eggs against the glass, I use that and I never have to bring my hands in the tank.
A lot of times, like out in out in the streets, we would say, bad parents are bad parents. You're never gonna make them good. I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's the way it is. I mean, you got a bad parent, she's never gonna get it right. That's just the way it is when it comes to discus. So if the father continues to eat the eggs, he's going to continue to eat the eggs. If the mother's going to eat, she's going to continue to eat the eggs. So a lot of times, again, we try to make it right with that fish. It just never gets right.
And yeah, it's called a squirt feeder. It's called a squirt feeder. I knew I had seen something like that. It's actually made by Kent, not Two Little Fishy. Sorry, Julian. It's made by Kent. Yeah, that has been my luck of the draw. A lot of people like me, simpletons, we get them to lay the eggs, and it's such a trial between you being panicked about them eating the eggs or being panicked about the eggs not getting fertilized or not getting cleaned off. They end up screwing around with the tank so much you mess it up, basically.
You could put an air stone, right underneath that cage and remove the parents as well. Keep the air stone not from hitting. You don't want them directly hitting the eggs, but right outside of it, so there's water movement, so it's constantly moving. I lost. I don't have any sound from you, Joe.
All right, I'm back now.
He's back.
That's a great idea, having aeration going near the cone, so that it circulates air around the eggs.
Yep.
That would prevent a lot of the fungus. But if the fungus is there, it also would make the fungus more active on the good eggs. So getting rid of those fungus eggs as soon as possible is the main criteria you want to do.
Well, from the door. If we, for instance, let's say we have a bad parent, we're gonna put a air stone on there anyway. Maybe. Are you still breeding discus, Joe?
No, I've moved on to others. Now I'm into everything else.
He's breeding fish so rare. I think they have shoes and a sweater. Like they have smokers jackets on in his tanks.
They got them from discus.
I've done hard fish now. I'm done with the easy ones like discus.
I remember.
How do you mind pulling your hair out because they're driving you crazy?
Well, we got another question from Logan. Logan here is a young dude that has gotten in the hobby. He bought that big tank, Joe, from the storage, that big 120. And his first thing with his dad, I think they were gigantic. He says, "I want discus." That was the first thing that I remember. It always like gets me really hyper and energetic to see a young dude that's into the hobby and really study. So don't tell Steve I gave him a book. Yeah, I stole it, Steve. I gave, I gave him a book, get him started just on how to keep discus. He's wondering what foods you would feed the trigger spawning.
I'd keep them on the same diet. There is no trigger food. I, I keep on the same diet. I'm big into just pellets. A lot of people beef fart, beef fart, beef fart. We talked about this the last time. I mean, there's no cows in the Amazon, so I don't know why we're feeding cows to fish. It just makes no sense to me.
What
That's
feeding carrots?
cows, meaning beef.
Oh, cows. Oh yeah.
Why are we feeding beef fart to fish? I mean, we're pushing their life expectancy down by putting hormones into their bodies. We talked about that. There really is no trigger to spawn. It's a temperature change in the wild. They breed during the rain season. So basically, you want to change the temperature of the water. Is what you want to do. So you want to decrease it no more than 5 degrees, 4 to 5 degrees. So if you're trying to, what I would do, basically, let's say you're doing a 50% water change, you do a 50% water change, the water's at 82. I'd put 74-degree water in there, and by the time it raises back up, it's dropped 4 degrees. That's how I would trigger spawning.
That's a good idea because most of the fish that I get to breed so much easier outside than inside just because Mother Nature provides the fluctuation.
Yep. Well, whenever there's a front coming, they usually spawn too. If there's a front coming, they push the spawning. So if you can time a front coming in, approximately 8 hours before, give it a quick water change and decrease the temperature of the water, and it should trigger spawning. A lot of times, people are selling pairs that are 2 males or 2 females, and they're wondering why nothing's ever fertilized. Well, there's one of your issues. So a lot of times fish won't spawn because you have 2 males in the tank. You don't know.
There goes that sex question.
Yep.
How long do you keep them together before you decide that they're not going to pair up?
It depends on the age. But I would say if they're not spawning, and if you kind of know what you're doing and doing your research, you should have it down pat. If they haven't done it in a month, they're not doing it. We also got to remember a lot of times fish take breaks. I mean, it could be 6 months before they go into another spawning cycle.
Sounds like human life.
Yeah. I'm on a lifetime break. I'm done.
Oh man. So if you had one secret, like you got a prize fish, you go to a show, you see that $1 million fish, it's like the color of the flag. Who knows? Discus you never seen before. What do you do with that fish? Like what is your holy grail? What's your secret that you target breed a fish that you want to breed out?
So you mean if I see a fish there that I want?
You will see a trait in a fish that you want to pick for selective breeding.
Go to the Mac
How do you
machine,
handle it?
go buy that thing before that thing gets picked out for the grand champion. That's what and take that fish.
Like, are you worried about pairing it with a fish that's gonna tear it up or tatter it, or sometimes you put these fish together and you got a real problem on your hands.
Oh, you're right. That's why you're always watching them. You keep. I have cameras in my facility. I'll point it right at the tank. And you gotta watch. You gotta watch. You take when we're playing this game. There's a big risk. There's always a risk. But that's part of the game. I mean, take that risk. I've had imports come in where I lost the entire import. Plane got delayed. It was delayed for I don't know 30 hours, and it got stopped in Alaska coming from China Airlines. I was at JFK for I can't tell you how many hours. I mean, I was there for 2 days. Easter weekend, and all the fish died. That's what that. Nobody wants to hear anything after that, right?
Nah, you don't, especially now when shipping is always up in the air. You don't know when your stuff's gonna come, get held up.
But
It's in
these
customs.
take with livestock. I mean, this is livestock. Joe can get me a fish. He can drive it down to me. I accidentally, changed the water temperature by 6 degrees, and the fish is dead. It's that's what happens when we're dealing with livestock. It's not always everybody's fault. I see a lot of people online. Well, this guy sold me a bad fish. Blah blah blah. Blah. There's a lot of you don't know if this guy's dropping a fish in a 72-degree tank. You don't know these things. I mean, we can only assume that they're doing everything correctly. And it's livestock. So anytime we're dealing with livestock, we're taking a massive chance. I don't believe that's my opinion. That's a fact. Livestock.
And the fact that you add these fish in a community tank, I don't know how much of an effect that would, because some of these fish get really territorial.
Yeah.
And that will make them stop breeding or start breeding, one or the other.
Yeah, I agree. The guy that buys 60 neon tetras and wonders why they're all dead with 6 discus in their tank. I mean, they're dead because they got eaten. If the fish could put it in its mouth, it's gone, right? That's a fish.
So I had shipping issues. I know New York Gold says, I had shipping issues. He wants to ask you, have you had shipping issues? Yeah. I mean, I think anybody that deals in large volumes.
I have not shipped a fish since the coronavirus. There's too many delays. I'm not taking a chance. You're taking it right now with this pandemic going on. If you're getting a fish shipped to your house, it's your fault if you lose that fish, because we all know that there's shipping delays. We all know what's going on. So you're actually taking the chance too. So I haven't shipped since this pandemic has happened, and I won't take that chance because I got 24 hours to 30 hours to get that fish to your house. And if it doesn't get to your house in 30 hours, you're going to blame me. I'm not taking that chance. I'm not putting my reputation on the line for that. So shipping issues are always going to happen. You're relying on somebody else to get a product to your house in a certain amount of time. And then when I'm overnighting something to California, it could be, $60 to $70 to overnight it next day to California for a 10:30 in the morning delivery. And sometimes it doesn't get there to 10:30 the following morning. And 50% of the time after 48 hours, that fish is going to survive. And sometimes it's not. But then, at the end of the day, I'm going to also either have to refund you or ship that fish back, and that's just not a chance that I could take raising a family.
Or if you're like me, where the mailman, awesome dude, but he just leaves it right outside and it's like 30 degrees outside. Like that. Half of the time I don't even know they've come to the house. They just leave it right there. And you're like, man, I'm waiting for delivery and it's been sitting out there all day.
Sometimes I drop it off the wrong house 2 blocks away.
Thank God for the Ring doorbell. Yep. How many packages I've saved because they drop it and drive right off, and I'm like, okay, it's like an iPad or something on the porch.
What about the one problem that says live fish on the box? It's like,
yeah, the live fish.
It says live fish all over the box. You're tossing it like it's marbles or dice in the middle of the street.
Personally, I had never ordered fish once it comes like October. I don't even think of ordering livestock like once the weather starts going up and down, because I'm scared of by the time it's in the airport, it's sitting in that airport and the airport's like 50 degrees. There's no heat packs,
I can't even tell you how many times, and I don't even want to make a number up, but I've only lost 2 shipments, and it's well over 500 times. I never really thought about how many times I've shipped, but it's well over that. It's well over that, and I've only lost 2 shipments. So I mean, I use heat packs. I'll use cooler packs. I'll use. You just got to watch the temperature. Sometimes I use no packs, but you got to really know what you're doing when it comes to shipping fish. You guys have seen me. I quadruple bag these fish. And I'll throw that bag in the air and it's not popping. And I think I did it at your club where I threw the bag up like 5 feet.
I think 10 people had heart attacks that day.
Yeah, it came out.
And the fish still went for like $80.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that is cheap. I mean, when you see the quality of the fish coming from this facility, that is extremely cheap because I paid more. And now, since it's so hard to get certain fish in, like you say, with the shipping and the airports and all that, the price of fish are going through the roof.
well, not only that, there's a high demand in fish, which means they can't keep up with the demand right now because everyone's sitting at their house. I mean, this has been great for our hobby, but the fish prices are going up because shipping's going up. They can't produce the amount of fish that we need here. So it's been great for our hobby, but the demand is too high right now.
And that's going to be a while. We don't know when that's going to end. So you guys got to get on that bandwagon when his facility is ready. When is your place open to sell now? Or are you still working on it?
My place is open to sell right now. Both shops are open. Right now, since we're back and forth moving, and moving some of the things, I highly recommend you call us before you come.
Okay.
Um,
And you guys can check out his website. He's on discusrus.com, which I put in the description here. And he also has the page on Facebook. So I think they can message you, and the number and everything is on the Facebook page.
We're also going to be doing. We're going to get into big time shrimp and nano fish. Big time. We're going to have a whole rack of that stuff. That's what we're going to get into that. Of course, we're going to do discus, but nano fish is what we're going to do. A lot of aquascaping, those type of things. We're opening up a section of behind the actual pet shop, which has a lot of exotic reptiles and stuff in it. We're going to be putting and then we're also going to be doing a pond section in the back as well in the spring. So we're doing a lot of plants, a lot of flowers, those type of things.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that. And I know a lot of people here in Brooklyn, a lot of people in the 5 boroughs. You can keep these plants outside. You don't have to have a huge backyard to keep pond plants and animals outside. Once you do the homework and research what it is that plant or animal requires.
Mm-hmm. You just need to aerate the water a little bit. This is what you got to do, and nothing's going to freeze over, right?
I got Rotala out there right now that I've had since last year. I literally had it freeze solid, thaw out, and grow back. And there's 20 gallons of Rotala, redder than anything I could grow in the house.
Awesome.
So, as far as, do we have any more questions here? Because we're breezing through it. We're breezing. Let me check the comments here. All right, Bill Amelli, besides cardinal tetras, what other fish can go along with discus and tolerate the high temperatures that you keep them in?
Oh, rams. You do rams with them, angelfish. But anytime you put fish with anytime you put fish with discus, they got to be quarantined well for 4 weeks. Don't just dump them into your tank. Quarantine them in a tank next to that tank for 4 weeks, and then rams, angelfish, cardinal tetras. Obviously, if you're gonna try catfish, I would try panda catfish. They could tolerate the heat a little bit more, and citrus. Those type of fish, but the quarantining is the most important part. Quarantining is the most important part.
I was scared to put angelfish in with the discus because I thought like they were so similar in body shape and everything that they might run into an issue.
No. I mean, I like species tanks only. I mean, that's just my style. So if I was to have another discus tank, I have 40 of them. But if I was to have my personal one in my house, it would be just a species only tank. I mean, what's more beautiful in the freshwater hobby than a discus? I mean, you know.
They will rival some of the best saltwater tanks. I mean, I saw a 180 gallon, what I think he had a whole, he had like, it looked like a school of discus. It was the most beautiful thing.
Yep.
There's always a reason to get another tank, people. Come on, we're in the hobby. We know this. So now, okay, I'm pulling up that right there. I think that was it. It was like beautiful, nice and simple. Just had the fish with a star to show. And it was a pretty tank. You know, people come over and it's a pretty tank without having like a 10,000 gadgets going on.
Yep.
Hey, Crystal, I see we got a lot of people coming in. I want to remind you guys, thank you for staying on. We're probably running into the end. We've been on for an hour. If you guys have not put your name into the hat, put I'm in to win right now so I can enter you into the raffle because I'm about to give some stuff away. And anybody have any other questions, shoot them now because we're getting long into the tooth, baby. When do you think you're gonna be? When do you think you're gonna be ready for the new place?
I would say in the next few months.
Perfect for spring. I should have some space by then. See, it's so funny because I had this really tall cube and I thought it was too short to try to breed discus in it, or I seriously considered that.
Mm-hmm. And if anybody's looking for some work down and lives close to either the Jersey Shore, Monmouth, Ocean County, you could also, give us a call. We're looking for a couple people to help us out in the shop as well. Get some knowledge down at Discus R Us,
That's the best way to learn, by doing.
Oh yeah.
All right, let me see. I got a bunch of people in here. I'm going to, okay, Logan, got you, Logan. NY, I got you here. I'm going through the names here. I'm trying not to miss anybody. Hopefully I don't. I'm going through. Give me a second to enter these. Jeff, I got you. Oh boy, I'm going multitasking. I'm getting old, man. KNY1. All right, Logan, I got you. Bill, I got you. Captain, I got you. We're going to start spinning the wheel here. All right, let me do one more once over. Okay, Teal at Broad, I got you. All right. And yeah, thanks, James. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I always have the best time. I miss having the shows because this is when we put the people with the knowledge and meet and actually learn stuff. But it is what it is. So, we got to go out and support the stores, go to the stores, wear your mask, do whatever you got to do. We want to open the city again. So we got to do what we got to do.
I agree.
All right, I'm going to pull up the wheel. Let me shift gears here. Let me close this window. And thank you for being on, James. I always appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Always appreciate having it on. I always get to pick his brain. What was that? I missed.
Give me a call this week, and next week when I come up, we'll meet up, and I'll give you some stuff.
No, we got to go out and have a drink. You know how we do it.
Only if Joe buys me some Thai food.
Thai food for Joe? Joe didn't tell me where the Thai food place is. Why does he give you Thai food? I don't know where the place is.
In Brooklyn.
Come with us. I'll have to show you the secret spot.
The one thing he does more than raise fish is eat. He's eating.
That's the best. Hey, you stay healthy and happy that way.
That's right.
All right, so let me take this down. All right, let me see something here. Let me see if I can take this off here. I'm gonna act like I know what I'm doing and pull the wheel up. All right. Let me get Bill's message out of here. All right, spin this wheel. Spin the wheel. I feel like the Where's the Beef lady. Remember, she was like, "Where's the beef?" I can't see. If you guys don't remember the Where's the Beef lady, you're too young.
Wendy's.
I remember it only too well.
Wendy's.
Where's the beef? All right, let me see. I got Mr. Schiff. I got Amelie, Gold, Castillo, Fisk, Sanford, Jeff, and Captain. Now we're gonna have a couple of winners, not everybody, but if you don't win this time, there's always another time. We're gonna have another talk before you know it. Let me get this wheel spinning. I'm getting ready to gamble here. Where the hell's the spin button? All right. It should be down here.
Right in the middle.
Wrong one. Now, if it started all over again, I'm going to kick everybody. Yeah, that
You
helped.
see, there you go.
Okay, spin faster than that, damn it. I'm hyper.
That is the slowest wheel.
Is this rigged? We need Vanna White. Look, it's a switch to Fios. I got Fios.
That's funny.
I got Fios. I'm going to go Optimum now. Okay, there you go. I got to hold it down. There you go. All right. Jesus Christ. If this was a drinking game, I'd be drunk already.
Flip wheel.
Oh, wait a minute. Where's my doll hair? Okay. All right, don't go into empty space because that would be totally lame. All right, Captain. Looks like you're the winner. Speed it up, baby. Captain is the winner. What the hell do we got for you, Cap? Cap, I'm gonna bring my screen back on here. All right, Captain. For the Captain, I'm gonna give you one of these bottles here of but up micro lift water care. We're gonna send that out to you for care for your water, because we care about you and you care about water. All right, boom, next. Next. You can tell them no Vanna White. We're gonna spin it again. This time I'm gonna hold it down. That was the secret. Now, Captain, I'm gonna tell you to send me a message through Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, just message me at dfrombrooklyn@gmail so that I can get your information and send that out to you. I'm getting dizzy. I think I need a drink. All right, round and round she goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Uh-oh, wait a minute. It's stopping. It's going to be close, baby. It's going to be on the line. All right, boom. It looks like we got a winner. It looks like New York Gold. All right, my man D, New York Gold. All right, D, I can drop this off to you. I got the Discus buffer, which actually helps adjust your pH. But according to the discussion, you probably don't need that. But I know for a fact that he is breeding multiple fish, and some of them he might definitely be able to use that. So, D, when we do our next fish store tour, and we also got to go see James's place again because he's my driving partner, I can drop this off to you. So, we got one more here. I'm going to put them on the side and we're going to get ready to wrap it up. We're coming to the end. All right, one more time. Spin this wheel. because here at the Brooklyn Aquarium Society, everybody's a winner. You either win with a prize or you win with information. We information hogs. We all information hogs. Okay, now it's spinning too damn fast. Either it's spinning too slow
You
or
switch
too
to
fast. And it's not rigged. Look, I don't have my hand on the table. Anybody? It's like, oh, everybody's yelling. Oh, he's pushing a button or something. Oh, say so. Say so. I got another box of the Micro Lift Special blend. So Cesa always shouts out. He is always interactive, sharing on Facebook, sharing pictures, sharing everything. So I will get this out to you. And actually, I got something else that I've been meaning to send to you. I'm going to put it in the box and send it. So I will get that out to you. Thank you, everybody. This is going to about wrap it up. Thank you guys for being a part of the live stream. Live stream. It's not Halloween. The live stream. Thank you for having such wonderful questions. Thank you for taking part Brooklyn Aquarium Society. If you're not a member of the Brooklyn Aquarium Society, so that you can get discounts, information, speakers, our wonderful bi-monthly, a quarterly award-winning paperwork, our magazine, the Aquatic News. Become a member by going to basny.org and go to the membership page, and it tells you how you can join and become a member. I'm going to put it here so you guys that are have a hard time hearing, just in case Steve's there, you can't hear. basny.org and go to membership. That shows you how you can become a card carrying member. We have stores, sponsors throughout the 5 boroughs and New Jersey. Show your card and take advantage of discounts and take a part in the club. Support the club. All right. Anybody have anything else to say?
Well, I just want to remind everybody that December 11th, we're going to have our next video presentation by Seth Kolker on how to set up a fish tank. So please log in. Again, it's going to be a video just like tonight, December 11th, the second Friday of the month at 7:30 p.m. Hope to see you then. Thank you. James, thank you very much. Excellent talk, as always.
Thanks, Joe.
Greatly appreciated.
My pleasure.
Wonderful.
Thai
food is coming your way when we go our way.
The minute Cuomo says it's over, I'm coming to you, Joe.
Sounds good.
Climb
Sounds
over
good.
the fence.
That's it.
All right. All right, everybody. That will be a wrap. Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking part. And check out the Facebook page. Check out Discus R Us. Check out his website. Check out the Brooklyn Aquarium Society on Facebook. And check out all of our sister clubs. Before I leave, I know I'm always full of one more thing. The NEC, check out our sister clubs. I will be sharing events from all of our clubs, all of the East Coast clubs, whoever is operating. I want to promote all of our clubs because sharing is caring. We need more members. We need more active members like you to take part and to keep these clubs operating. We need positions. We have open positions in the Brooklyn Aquarium Society. For more information, shoot me a message on the side, and I'm going to stop talking. That's it for me, everybody. All right.
I see that.
Good night, y'all.
Okay. Take care, guys. Take care, all. Stay safe. Good.
That went quick. We got twice as many people as we did in the last talk.
Really? How many we got?
We hit 30. We hit 30 something, but that doesn't count who was on YouTube. I didn't go to YouTube because I got like my phone here. Where the hell I put my iPad? I don't know.
Oh.
I left it somewhere.
So we had 30 plus the